feel like we haven't talked in forever.
Yeah, I don't even know how to talk to you
I don't
anymore.
even know
It's just been
either.
too long. We've been through too many things now. It's just awkward. This is the end.
Okay, goodbye,
No, I'm
everyone.
I'm I am just really tired because work has been really crazy, and then I do freelance writing for tabletop role playing games, and I have a contract coming up. And then I'm also behind on our posts for these because I keep forgetting to do them, like on the
Oh yeah,
website.
I noticed that because we need Twilight needs to go up. Did we seriously? Is that the last episode we recorded was Twilight?
It was Twilight, yeah.
Be Yonkers.
Yeah, yeah, because then you had to go get sick and
I
stuff.
was
It'd be
sick
gross.
for 11 years. That's all I have to say about that. Nobody else got it, which like is good, but also what the fuck?
Kind of like, yeah, like what the hell?
Right.
It's just sort of like, are they even like your family? Like, do they love you? They didn't commit.
I don't
Could have
know.
supported
And
you.
I'm pretty sure the reason I got sick is because I took them to some trick or treat situation at the school one day. And then we had a Halloween themed birthday the next day at a home that had a rock climbing wall inside.
What the fuck? That's so cool.
It was pretty cool. But I'm pretty
That is really
sure
cool.
at one of those places or both is where I got this like super bug that knocked me out for over a week.
Yeah, I imagine it was all the sticky little hands touching the climbing wall.
Ugh. Yeah, or those bougie
Exactly.
ass moms who wouldn't talk to me.
Were you bullied?
No, I wasn't bullied, but like one of the moms came and talked to me, but like all the other ones, I could tell that they knew each other and like none of them ever like introduced themselves or talked to me or anything. I was like, why
That
am I here?
that sounds see that's maybe the real reason I don't want to have kids is that like interacting with the parents sounds of other children sounds
Oh, it's
terrible.
horrible. It's like I wouldn't do any of these things. I wouldn't interact with anyone if I didn't have to. And of course, our kids are super social for some reason.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot, but
Obviously you and David fucked up there.
yeah, I mean, we're killing it. Uh, and we just got off the b-ball field. Had a had a b-ball
Yeah.
game.
Oh yeah, you had a good b-ball. I mean not you, but your oldest,
No,
right?
no, not me. Yes, my oldest.
You looked so concerned about even just the idea of you b-balling.
No,
Awesome.
I don't
Awesome. Well,
be to the ball.
let's I am so tired and I want to take my pants off
Oh,
and lay down.
that
So
sounded really predatory. I'm going to be honest.
yeah, it was a weird way. It was a weird place to pause. That
Yeah.
was that was my
No,
bad.
you looked
That was
right
my
at me
bad.
when you said that.
It's really just because I'm spacing out. Let me say that in a less predatory manner. I would like to, in my home alone, relieve myself of my clothes. No, it's just getting weird. You know
Hmm.
what? Whatever.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
We're starting the episode.
Yep.
Okay, Riley, it's 1997,
Okay.
and you and we need to come up with a lucrative scheme to make money. What are we going to do?
Avon?
Ooh, that's a good one, but no, that is
No.
not the topic.
Tupperware? No, that was way earlier.
That was.
Is it an MLM?
No.
Oh,
Well, no.
okay. Okay. Beanie Babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are entering the dangerous world
Oh.
of Beanie Baby collecting and Beanie Baby counterfeiting. Yeah,
No.
that's right. Tonight we're talking about the boom and bust of the 90s favorite collectible, and where there's collecting, there's a market for crime. So that's actually where we're going to start this sort of tale. Not with the cuteness, not with reminiscing, with cold, hard criminal undertakings. It is 1998 and Happy the Hippo has been kidnapped. Right out of Jean Marie Diario's car. Yeah, you fucking heard that. Happy the Hippo, kidnapped, gone. No ransom note, just gone.
Okay.
This isn't the only crime. Over in Ohio, toy distributors prepping for a convention find that hundreds of their plush goods have been snatched out of their own vehicles. Meanwhile, a couple in New Hampshire, yep, you got something to say?
No, I'm just listening. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm setting the scene. Okay.
Okay.
A couple in New Hampshire are busted for forging how much money in checks? Thousands in checks to buy and flip Beanie Babies for buy and flip Beanie Babies for heroin.
Ooh.
Heroin.
Wait, flip into what? I'm sorry.
Flip,
Don't laugh. That's a legitimate question. Flip it into what?
Okay, so with collectibles, it's often called like if you buy something and then you immediately sell it for way higher is flipping.
So not like a house where you buy a house that's a piece of shit and you make it better.
I mean, that it works like that too. Yeah.
Okay, continue.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
There's a 1998 Washington Post article on these insidious crimes, and it quotes, what's his name? Detective Timothy Goulden, I think. And it says, he said, Beanie Babies are so innocent and childlike, and heroin is so evil. It's the perfect dichotomy.
He did not say that. Are you shitting me right now? That's a real quote from a real police officer, not a Beanie Baby police officer.
Oh, I will say, and Washington Post, like, I don't want to call you out, but like, you didn't specify whether Detective Timothy is a cute little bear with a fuzzy hat or if he was a grown man.
Yeah, stuffed or not. Please clarify.
We'll have to just use context clues. I don't know. I don't know if like they wanted a Beanie Baby to investigate Beanie Baby underworld. There really was a lot lacking in that Washington Post article. You're right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just like, people should do better is all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, they should. They should. It's not too late to call them out. So we've gone over some of the crime. Now, what is driving this madness, your face is asking me?
I am asking with all of my face.
The answer, Riley, is the cold, cold fists of supply and demand.
Yes.
Yep. Now let's look at some background info on how Bean Babes got started. I'm going to be heavily sourcing the documentary, not the movie, The Beanie Bubble, and a Vanity Fair article by Savannah Walsh titled The Beanie Bubble Burst, Inside Billionaire Ty Warner's Furry Empire. What a fucking title.
That's a lot of bees.
It is a lot of bees. There's going to be lots and lots of bees.
Okay, bring it on.
Like right now, Beanie Babies, the tiny, adorable bean stuffed toys, were first released on the market in 1993 to pretty lukewarm success. Like, if, people are like, meh. Ty Warner is the man behind these little stuffies, and apparently he was like crazy obsessive about his toys, going as far as like he would travel to factories that were producing them and like scrutinize each Beanie Baby just to make sure they were perfect.
Oh.
He was like a little intense.
Yeah.
Even though there wasn't like a lot of fanfare when they were released, the low sales didn't last long because Warner was about to capitalize on something irresistible, and that is collectability. The toys were great quality. They're affordable for kids because they're just like $5. They're very, very cute. And they would soon be marketed with collectible buzzwords like limited edition and rare. So variety plus scarcity is really the secret sauce to collectability, right? And then also it's probably like that and neurotypical people like me who get really obsessive about collecting things. Do you remember all my rock collections?
Oh, do I remember? Thanks for passing that on to my kids somehow, by the way.
Hell yeah. I was just looking at one of my rock collections.
You've always been a collector. I've never really been much of a collector, except I did have my collection of Breyer horses.
Oh yeah, you did.
But that was more of like a horse girl thing than like a collectible thing.
I mean, it counts though, because I mean, that is like collecting. It's usually in some weird niche, I feel like.
Yeah. I just don't feel like I really had any others other than that one.
Yeah. No, but I had a lot because I collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I collected Pokemon cards. I collected rocks, coins.
I feel like you also just had like collections of small, tiny things.
Yeah.
Just like weird, almost like kitschy
shit.
Yeah.
I briefly collected tiny, tiny glass sculptures of animals. That was a weird one.
That's a little odd. You were like a 90-year-old woman.
I really was. I really, yeah. I still collect a ton of shit right now.
Yeah.
Which Kelsey loves. She loves that.
I bet. I don't know that I could be with a collector.
Yeah, no, she loves having all of my magic cards and binders just like in the living room. All right. So the collecting is obviously like what really started the craze. But to explain that more, I researched like who was collecting these. And obviously kids, but there's so much more to the story, you dumb baby. Now, Beanie Babies, so they're introduced at the World Toy Fair, and that's what starts to get the word out. But the real MVPs were midwestern stay-at-home moms.
God damn it.
Yep.
It's always the midwestern mom.
Well, they needed hobbies. So like in the documentary I was watching, some of them were like collecting with their kids, and then like when their kids grew out of it, they just kind of didn't stop. Stuck. Yeah, didn't stop. And then some of it just seemed like they were really, really lonely and maybe depressed and isolated. So
that makes me sad.
Yeah, no, it was kind of sad. Then, oh my God. Okay, so there was this guy and I thought it was his wife, but it turns out it was his daughter. And he talked about how like people think we're dating. It was
what?
It was like he was bragging. It was so weird.
Yeah, that's not cute. People shouldn't think you're dating your daughter. That means that something's wonky.
You're too close.
Yeah.
Well, they share a Beanie Baby collection, I think. And I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm feeling uncomfortable just hearing it secondhand. Is sharing a collection fun?
I'm trying to think of I like having my own stuff.
Well, that would kind of be my thought too, but I'm very much like I like my own stuff in my own space. So I just imagine a shared collection of something doesn't sound all that great to me.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that would make sense for, I mean, like I have tons and tons of books, and it did take me a while to be like even okay with like mixing them with Kelsey's books on shelves.
Well, I'm just imagining like, okay, so you and Dad, what collection would you share?
What are Dad and I, what are we collecting?
What are you collecting?
I guess Dad and I could collect football cards together.
Okay. All right.
Maybe. I mean, I guess the weirdness wasn't so much that they had a collection together.
Yeah.
There's just something I did not like.
Yeah, with the relationship. No, I just kind of latched onto the shared collecting thing for some reason. I don't know why.
No, that's fair. So like a lot of moms were into it, and some of them saw it because like their kids were getting into it. There was like this weird article in the newspaper in like one person's hometown. So anyways, watch the weird documentary, but They start collecting, and then they're calling around to various stores to see if they have Beanie Babies in stock. And because they're not super popular yet, some stores don't have them. So then they're like, oh, okay, we're getting calls about this, we'll pick them up. And then word of mouth, as you said, moms talk, apparently just not to you, but more moms got into collecting.
I would have never been let in on the ground floor.
No, you would have missed the beanie bubble, the beanie high, and the bust.
Yeah, would have passed me right by. Prime of my life.
So this ultimately becomes a classic example of just like supply, demand, scarcity, is that these moms are calling stores to see if Beanie Babies are in stock, but because of like this said, like spreading word of mouth and even stores being like, oh man, we have to carry these, they're often finding that like others have already bought out the store, and it's just kind of turning into this like collecting fever, a little bit of FOMO too. But what really started the bloodlust, Riley, the Beanie bloodlust.
I can't handle you right now.
Is scarcity, both manufactured and unintentional. Thai Inc. was pretty smart about, like, they were trying to get people to give a shit about Beanie Babies, right?
Sure.
And one of the things that they did was, so they weren't selling them in big box stores. Like they weren't selling them at Walmart and stuff. They were selling them at like these tiny stores. Like if you remember, we used to get them, I think, at like the Hallmark store sometimes, but then mostly it was that tiny little shop.
Yes. Was it called?
Next to the video rental place.
Carl's? Is that what it was called?
Carl's.
Yeah.
It was Carl's.
Carl's.
Yeah. Carl's.
Carl had Beanie Babies, whoever Carl was.
So many Beanie Babies.
Yes, they also had little glass figurines. That's probably where you started that bullshit.
Yeah. I still have a tiny glass cat and a pineapple.
Of course you do.
Huh. Yeah, because it just seems weird to throw them away now. I mean, I've had them for like
I've had them so
25
long.
years that I don't know. I'll unpack that later, though.
Yeah.
Not literally unpack them. They'll stay in a box forever, but emotionally, I'll unpack it.
Okay, good for you.
So Thai Inc., what they had done is they set a limit of 30 per individual toy per store. So like the little Carls can only have 30 of this character, 36 of this character, and 36 of that character. And this artificial scarcity was combined with another tactic of a similar sort, which was retiring characters.
I remember that.
There was an issue with a supplier, and Lovey the Lamb was discounted because of it in 1995. In other cases, though, I was reading that like Ty Warner would just get like tired of a particular Beanie Baby and axe it. And this like FOMO really pushed people to start buying up more Beanie Babies because they're worried like which beanie is going to be gone next. And that's the thing about collecting, like so much of it is FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that's why neurospicy people get really caught up oftentimes in collecting, is like it gets a little obsessive and a little like it's really easy to hyperfixate on and be like, oh my God, they've only, like with magic cards, for instance, like, oh, they only printed 1,200 of these in the entire world. And I can get them from this, like I can get them from opening these like $40 packs. I must keep opening these until I get one of those cards, type of thing. So yeah, like FOMO was a huge thing. And then the next big thing that made Beanie Babies pop was eBay. Because in 1995, so one article sourced that Beanie Babies made up 6% of all of eBay's sales.
Whoa.
And I've also seen another stat that said at some point it made up like 10%.
Oh my gosh. So it was like made for Beanie Babies.
It's also like the perfect collectible to flip when you're thinking like you get in at $5 and you like some of these people were reselling for like hundreds of dollars.
Put that beanie down, flip it, and reverse it. Missy Elliott.
You didn't seem confident when you said that, and I could tell.
Sorry, let me focus. Put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
It's better. I like it. I like the energy.
It's a Missy Elliott.
Riley, I don't know if I've eaten today. I haven't had enough water. My foot's asleep.
Have you ever had enough water?
I can't tell. I've been doing much better about being hydrated.
I am not.
Yeah. Oh, I've been doing great. I got a water bottle and I put cute stickers on it, and some of them are cats.
Dorbs, and they tell you to drink water. When you're dehydrated, they talk to you.
Meow, 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 meow. They do talk to me when I'm dehydrated because I'm so loopy and lightheaded.
Fantastic. Okay, so you don't know what song I'm referencing is what you're telling me? No,
I'm sorry.
It's like, when you something, let me work it. Put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. She does something. Never mind. I'm going to cut all that. Just look it up later.
Okay, I would like to request that stays in. Let's get back to the beanies.
Okay.
So I've introduced collecting, I've introduced scarcity, and now your song segue is we're going to go into flipping, because that is what introduced the criminal element. You remember Happy the Hippo?
I do. I'll never forget Happy the Hippo now.
Yeah. I mean, Jean Marie's card was filled with Beanie Babies to sell, and a thief made off with $5,000 worth of merch.
How many beanies was that?
Not 1,000.
Okay. 5,000.
Flipping is really like what enticed the unsavory behavior. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, like one guy was legitimately selling Beanie Babies on the weekend and making $3,000 to $5,000 in the 90s. So that's like $5,000 to $9.5K now in a weekend.
Whoa.
And he was just like at his house or his dad's lawn or something selling them.
His dad's lawn.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of interesting people who are involved in Beanie Baby collecting is what I learned.
Yeah. No, I mean,
their own.
I was imagining him selling them out of the trunk of his car at a parking lot. So
I would love that. But no, he said he was on his dad's lawn.
Huh.
This, though, this is what when the collecting is more about the feeling and there's not a lot of scarcity and monetary value, criminals are not going to get in on it. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
they
like
don't
if
care.
you're buying you're buying something for like $8 and you can only flip it for like 10, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
eBay made counterfeiting and swindling easier for people who were because they're like promising to deliver these high value Beanie Babies. Like somebody posts a Beanie Baby and they're like, oh, it's $500. And then there's a case where this woman like sold like $1,000 Beanie Baby, collected the money, and then just like didn't ship the item.
Bitch.
Yeah, she got caught and she had jail time. Can you
Good.
imagine walking into jail and being like, "Oh, I'm here because I didn't like ship a Beanie Baby." You're not going to be okay.
No, you're not going to be okay.
No.
You're going to be beaten to within an inch of your life with a Beanie Baby.
With a Beanie Baby. Instead of bag full of rocks, it's just a bag full of those tiny, tiny little beans.
Hey, I bet a lot of those beans together at, with some force aren't going to feel great.
Yeah, I mean, you swing anything hard enough and it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Especially when it's hitting a soft midwestern mom.
we hurt so easily.
So yeah, like there were people who were pulling scams on eBay like that. Other people were just straight up like selling counterfeits. And obviously they're selling counterfeits of like expensive ones. So like you spend $500 on this, adorable red lobster, and then it gets there and you're like, what the fuck is this?
This lobster only has one claw.
So, like, how we're hypothetically traveling back to 1998 to start up our criminal organization of counterfeit Beanie Babies.
Mm-hmm. I'm there with you.
If you think about it, what really makes, even though it's so ridiculous thinking about like crime surrounding these stuffed toys, if you're trying to make money illegally, are you going to target banks with security? Or are you going to target collectible, highly flippable toys that don't have traceable serial numbers on them? If you steal like $5,000 from a bank, one, you're probably a pretty bad bank robber. But two, like that's a felony.
Yes.
And there's going to be repercussions for that like are going to be different than if you like swindle somebody with Beanie Babies. Like there are going to be repercussions either way. But it's like the difference between that or like trafficking drugs. It's like collectibles, when they're hard to trace, it's actually kind of interesting. But like looking at actual criminal organizations getting in on like nerdy shit or like collectible shit just because it's way less risky but still super profitable.
Interesting. They're not putting drugs in Beanie Babies, are they?
I mean, I'm sure somebody did. I didn't come across it, but I'm sure someone did.
Don't do that. That's not what they're meant for.
It's not. The problem though with these delightful assets, like any assets, is they're not stable. So now we will be entering the bust era.
Okay.
There were people who literally spent hundreds of thousands on Beanie Babies as an investment.
But that's because they were marketed as an investment, right?
I mean, yeah, in a way they were marketed very much as like collectible, and they really leaned into the like FOMO. And then people, I mean, there were like Beanie Baby like collector websites, and it got very organized and very intense. I mean, not for kids, like the kids were just living their life collecting Beanie Babies, but like for the adults. And then, so yeah, Ty definitely built it up as this like, went into like the FOMO of it.
Mm-hmm.
But Ty Inc. would also tank these numbers and its own company because the organization, but like the company itself got like a lot more aggressive about controlling its product. History.com cites how Ty registered its trademark with U.S. customs officials so that anyone bringing overseas editions back to the U.S. would have the toys confiscated due to violating import laws. So like
what?
Yeah. So like somebody goes over and sure, maybe they buy like 20, which is like a ridiculous amount. But when you're thinking about like on an individual level versus like a store, it's like, it was like people going over and buying a bunch of these like editions that you couldn't get in the US, and then they were being confiscated.
And where do they go? Where do they go when they've been confiscated?
I guess an evidence locker with all the sad little lonely beanies.
Oh, and they all come alive at night?
And take their revenge. Yeah, I imagine.
Okay. Are we writing a movie now?
already on it.
Okay, thank you.
It gets a little sketchier because in 1999, Thai Inc. sends out this press release, and they really like buried an important notice at the bottom. It read, "All beanies will be retired, including the above." Obviously, this like fucking drove sales because like people are like, holy shit, they're not making Beanie Babies anymore. They're like retiring all of them. So people bought them up, which was really great for the company. And then months later, they were just like, JK, we're just producing a new line.
Oh, no. No, bro.
Yeah.
No.
Your reaction is how collectors felt because it did not go
Yeah.
over with them. And according to, his name is Bissonnette. He wrote a book, Beanie Bubble book. And he said that this caused sales to drop by like 90%.
Good, because you shot yourselves in the foot, you dipshits.
But then what sucks is like with understandably people being like, okay, this isn't like this asset is way too risky. They're not collecting anymore, which means that like the people are left kind of holding the bag where they're like, oh shit, I had like 100,000 in Beanie Babies. I spent maybe like 50,000 and now it's worth like 2,000.
Oof. That just like gives me like that pit of your stomach feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, even in like the documentary, were talking about how like, yeah, you could like send your kids to college if you had a good collection, and it's very interesting. I feel like it was like one of the big first really like collectible trends, and one that went across the internet.
I mean, I even remember as a kid, I mean, obviously I wasn't like an avid, it's not like we were keeping those in pristine condition. But I mean, even we bought like the tag protectors to put on them. Like we had a ton of those. And I do remember that mentality of like, oh, these are going to be worth something someday as a kid.
Oh yeah.
And it
yeah,
just
no, I
pisses
remember
me
like
off.
yeah, I feel like it's different if the craze started without being pushed by Ty, and then
Yes.
it's just the real sketchiness of like cracking down more on the products, and then just straight up like obviously their plan with being like all Beanie Babies will be retired is like we're not making anymore. It's just to
Yeah.
like cause this crazy FOMO, and then they're like, JK, buy this new line.
Right. Yeah, that's so yucky. When did they, sorry, and if this is already in your notes, I'll just wait, but when did they make that? Didn't they make like a commemorative Princess Diana bear?
They did.
Was that
Yeah.
before or after her death? Do we
I'm
know?
pretty sure it was afterwards.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Because thinking back on that now, I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I mean, that seems tacky, doesn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
It always seemed odd. I think because I don't exactly love the company, it feels tacky. At the same time, though, it's like, it's not surprising. I think that's something that's such a huge trend, and they were already doing sort of like themed ones.
True. It's not like they just released the Princess Diana one.
Yeah, I mean, it is still sort of the only one of its type in that way, but they did have more like themed ones that were for like I felt like they had one for the Olympics or something. I can't quite recall.
Yeah, because it had the rings. You're right.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, well, one, I didn't really know who she was, so it just seemed kind of like weird.
It isn't something that occurred to me as a kid. It's just as we were talking, I was like, oh, wait, did they do that after she died? And actually, I just looked it up. So they released that in October of 1997, 2 months after she died.
I mean, she was so loved that I wonder if the response though was positive, like if people were happy. I mean, obviously it's like a money grab. I mean, it's a money grab, of course.
Right.
But it's more of like, I wonder how adults at that time responded. And if it was like,
I feel like it probably was positive, and I'm not like judging anybody who bought it, but knowing now what you're telling me about the company and knowing that they did that, it feels yucky now because I'm like, ooh, you guys were just like capitalizing on like a huge tragedy and knew that people would buy it.
Yeah. I feel like it's so situational of the company because there's like, I like when games or companies pay, why can't I think the word homage?
Tribute.
Yeah, we're going to go with that. I like when they like pay tribute to a person that had like a connection to said product.
Yeah, that
Like,
makes
I think
sense.
it makes sense. It is a little odd though. Like, I feel like it does. You're right. It does feel a little ickier when it's just like there is no connect. Like, I guess maybe if Princess Diana like loved Beanie Babies, it would make sense. Maybe she did. I did not think to look that
I
up.
didn't think it to
Um,
either.
you know, in that case, like it would make sense,
Yeah,
but I just don't trust the Thai
the
ink.
TY.
Yeah. And I mean, he went on like he really spiraled. There's like a bunch of like tax evasion stuff with him. Obviously, like Beanie Babies ended up flopping. People lost tons of money. And I mean, they did briefly like stop production, but obviously they're making them again now. They just look very different from when we were
Oh
kids.
yeah, and they have all different types of them too, because they're not like just the Beanie
Mm-hmm.
Babies. They have like the Beanie, are they called like buddies or something? I don't know. They have all sorts of other
I
little
don't know.
animals and like keychains, and yeah, there's a lot now.
So I have no idea where to work the quiz in, so we're just going to do it right
Sweet.
now. Can you name any of like the first Beanie Babies,
Um,
or like what animal?
well, I remember one of the first Beanie Babies that we had was a cat named, was it Nibs? It's a weird name, or like Nibbles.
Oh, I think it was. That isn't one of the first ones, but I kind of remember
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Um, there was a lobster, but I don't, was that one of the first ones? That seems like that would be weird.
Yes, you're correct.
Really?
Pinchers the lobster was,
Pinchers.
yeah, one of the original. That
Really?
was mine. I have, yeah, one of
Okay.
the original.
What else? I'm mostly just remembering like the ones that we had that I really liked, because there was that kind of like wire-haired terrier that we
Oh,
had.
love that
I
one.
know, it's like one of my
So
favorites.
cute.
So Dorbs.
And then you had that really cute otter.
Yeah. Oh,
And of
child
course, we did have
Otterbutt.
a lot. Otter. Oh, otter
Oh,
butt. I was
Otterbutt.
so upset when you named that stuffed animal otter butt.
My girls are too. They got really
Well,
mad at me when I told him his name was Otterbutt, and I was like, "I'm sorry, that's his name.
it's been his name for like 15
Yeah, you can't
years,
change
20
it
years.
now." They were mad at first, and
Well,
now they call him Otter. Now it's fine. But like when I first said, they were like, "His name is not Otterbutt." I'm like, "Well, it is.
I'm still not fine. It's been
It's his Christian
over a
name,
decade and then
Otterbutt."
well, let's
Sorry,
go over
sorry.
the Christian names of the others. So there's Legs the frog, there's Squealer the pig. I don't like that.
No, I don't like that. I don't think we ever had Squealer.
I'm going to move on. I just don't
Okay.
like that.
No.
Brownie the bear, who is later renamed Cubby, Flash the dolphin, Splash the whale, Patty the platypus, Chocolate the moose, Spot the dog, and then, as I said, there's Pinchers the lobster.
I liked the platypus too.
Yeah, we did have that one as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad none of ours are in really good condition.
No, none of them.
And then, what's the most expensive Beanie Baby?
Mm-mm-mm. Can you give me like a hint?
It might be like we've already talked about it.
Is it the Princess Diana one?
Yep.
Okay.
But only like the OG release, like the OG one. I think they did like a re-release later. But it's just, I guess, like pretty rare. What's difficult is like seeing really what Beanie Babies are worth anymore, because it's so easy to inflate things. Like on eBay, for instance, a little scam that's pretty common is, for instance, I could take my Pinterest lobster, I could list it for 15,000. And obviously that doesn't mean it's going to sell for that, but like if you don't know eBay and you're going through and you just see that, you're like, holy shit, I could sell mine too.
Oh.
Now that's not the scammy part. The scammy part comes in like, so let's say I list mine and then I'm like 15,000, but I'll consider offers, and you make an offer and I tell you, I'm like, just make me an offer of $2. So then when it's sold, you see that it was listed for 15,000 and it sold. And if you're really looking at it, you can see like it'll cross it out and be like, or best offer, but you don't know how much that is. So it does kind of make it look like it sold for that much.
Why don't they change that?
You'd have to talk to Mr. or Mrs. eBay.
To Dr. eBay? Okay. Because that seems like something that they could probably pretty easily fix with like a programming flip of the switch.
Yeah, I think the reason that they don't is because the best offer is private between whoever made the offer and the seller, but it just seems weird that like that's private and not, I mean, you can see when people buy something for a listed price, it's like, why is that so?
Right. Why is it private? I mean, shouldn't we know
Yeah,
how much
because it's
something
not like you
actually sold
see.
for?
Yeah, because it's not like you see usernames or anything other than like the seller. And I
Right.
think with eBay, you used to be able to see who bid on things, and they don't do that anymore.
Oh,
Like you can't
really?
see
Okay.
because I've been on eBay since I was like 12,
And I mean,
and I'm pretty
that part
positive
I
about that.
get, not seeing usernames, but yeah, why can't
Yeah.
you know what something was actually purchased for? That seems weird.
Yeah, because like a lot of times, and I can see why, like if you see like, oh my God, this was listed for $1,000 and they took best offer,
Mm-hmm.
you would be thinking, if I would listed something for $1,000, I'm not going to want to go too much lower than that, right?
Right.
So you would be thinking, okay, this item is worth, I don't know, maybe 900 to 1,000. Because
Mm-hmm.
logically, and I think like intended, like that is how this feature's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's then like really great to inflate numbers and collectability of things.
Ooh, that's sneaky.
It is sneaky.
Hmm.
It is real sneaky. And it kind of ties into just like the final thing I really wanted to talk about with Beanie Babies is like one, I really think it just kicked off collectibles in a way that we hadn't seen before because of like it coming up with eBay and also just like the internet existing then. But I also feel like, too, my point is adults just ruining things. So there is a nerd store I go to, and they have a limit on certain products like Pokemon cards.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant Stars, for instance, it's like a set, and you can only buy 3 per person per day because adults would come in and truly they would buy all of them, and then like kids couldn't get them. And
Yeah.
I get it, like I don't think you there should be any like age range of what you're allowed to collect as long as you're not like, I don't know, hurting somebody
Yeah.
or whatnot. Like I don't care. Like I'm around a lot of nerds, and a lot of us have like, I love Legos, and that could be seen as childish, but I collect them and they're fun and whatnot. So it's not so much like, adults shouldn't be buying these packs, but it's the idea that like there has to be limits on it. It's like the FOMO and the greed that really
Mm-hmm.
frustrates me. And I've seen people like push back against it or be really pissed when like a new product comes out and they'll be like, well, what do you mean I can't buy all of them? Like I'm offering to buy all of them. And I'm glad the story doesn't do that, because it's like, yeah, and then like you would get all of them and probably flip them. And then they're gonna have to tell like a 9-year-old, like, oh, sorry, this 45-year-old guy was like really bitchy and bought them all in one day because he has like grown up money.
And so that he can resell them for much more and be a dick about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, no, I hate that. And
Scalpers.
even as you were talking about like the Beanie Baby craze with, all the adults like buying up the store stock. I'm like, that's so shitty. Like they're stuffed animals. And you're going to go buy up a store stock. So like an actual kid who can actually afford it because they were only like $5, as you said, can't get one. I hate
Yeah.
that.
I really, like I said, I partake in a lot of nerd hobbies. And I think the worst thing about fandoms are the people. It's the fans.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like adults ruin collecting so hardcore and are like the worst part of collecting as a hobby or community. Like we are like consistently the worst part of said hobbies. And it's like, it's not like saying like, oh, you're 45, you shouldn't go buy a pack of Brilliant Stars. It's
No.
just like, have some self-awareness and touch some grass and like,
Touch some grass.
no, seriously, touch some fucking grass.
No,
So that's,
I'm going to tell somebody that the next time they're like out of line. Be like, you know what, buddy? Go touch some fucking grass.
yeah, no, it's a great line.
Yeah, it is a great line. And it is a great thing to do. I'm not laughing at the actual action. You are supposed to like ground yourself by putting your extremities in grass, but I just wasn't expecting you to say that.
I love your reaction to it. I did not. This is a very common
It's the thing that people say.
insult. Yeah, especially with it's used a lot in gaming where if like people are being really dickish or like way too intense or like somebody's taking something too seriously,
Yeah.
or it's like you're a fucking cheater, blah blah blah. It's just telling them like go touch some grass, buddy. Like
I've
you've been doing
never
this too
heard
long. You need to go
that.
outside. It's great. I highly recommend using it.
Okay, I will.
No, so I just highly recommend the sage advice slash kind of insult of go touch grass. Use it like when you're at one of the girls' games. If one of the parents is getting too intense, you can just be like, go touch some grass.
I love this. This is like blowing my mind. But I didn't know it was a gaming thing. Like I thought you literally are supposed to like to ground yourself. Like you're supposed to like take your shoes and socks off and like put your bare feet in grass and just like let your feet be feet in grass, I guess. So I thought you were like being super like,
Woo,
yeah,
woo.
like go ground yourself, like put your feet in some grass. And I was like, yeah, go put your feet in some grass. I didn't know
I
it was a
mean,
gaming
yes
thing.
and no. Yes, it's like yes and no. It's like
Yeah.
you've been sitting on your Xbox and playing games for 6 hours and you've lost like you're like cussing people out and making threats to their family because they're doing better than you in Overwatch.
Right.
Like you need to go touch grass. Like you need to get out of your house and like just take a step back and
Oh
get some priorities. And
I love that so
yeah, it's a good
much.
one.
I'm going to say it all the time.
You should. It's excellent.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I that is my advice because the few people who listen, I know a lot of them are nerds, and just make sure you're touching grass.
Touch
because
that
the
grass.
FOMO, touch the shit out of that grass. Just feel that grass up.
Wiggle your toes in it.
The FOMO, it's really easy as an adult or a neurospicy to get like caught up in it, but it also, one, the obsessiveness, it causes stress that you don't need to have. And then two, it's really easy to be greedy and just to ruin it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people get really like at this store. I've seen people get like really serious, and it's adults and it's mostly men. Get like so serious and like belligerent, and just the idea of like you feel like you've truly been wronged because somebody told you couldn't buy like 3 Pokemon ETBs in one day, and you're like losing it. How do you not have self-awareness? How are you not embarrassed? How are you not cringing? I'm cringing. Just don't be cringe.
Because I haven't touched any grass in a while.
Yeah. Obs. That is, that's all I got for Beanie Babies. That's a very short episode this week on the Beanie Baby.
Beanie Babies. I mean, I don't feel like there's really probably that much more to say, yeah?
There's some weird crime about it. There's more weird crime. Like there was a story of one guy shot his coworker, and it was supposed to be like, I think they said it was like a fight about something else, but then they realized that they like shared a crazy expensive Beanie Baby collection together or something like that.
See, don't share collections. It's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it was not a good idea. And then I've seen these photos. It's of a couple, and they're both on the floor of the court. Like they're in court. They're getting divorced, and they're splitting up their Beanie Baby collection in front of a judge. And it's yes.
Is that a normal thing to do? Like bring your possessions into the courtroom and split them up in front of a judge?
And I think it's like when things are so intense that they have to have a mediator.
The judge is like, okay, bring your tote full of stuffed animals, and we will divide them up right here, right now. What if the judge was like, you know what, I'm confiscating all of these, and then he kept them, and then he sold them on eBay?
His entire, I'm sending you the photo right now, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Office is just like Beanie Baby, Beanie Baby, Beanie Baby. So this is, I'm reading it from the HuffPost. It was 1999. Yeah, Los Angeles, Nevada. This attorney looks over papers while his clients sort out Beanie Babies.
Did you say Los Angeles, Nevada?
Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm really sorry, and I'm actually just look sick. It's let's see. It says the couple who were divorced 4 months ago were ordered to divide up the collection valued at $2,500 to $5,000, but were unable to do so by themselves.
That's not even that much. Oh,
well,
look at her.
Look at them go.
She's got loafers and a pantsuit.
And I like how there's like they each have their own pile, and then there's the big pile in the middle, and they're like having to do draft picks.
And who are these people in the back that are having to watch this?
Very disappointed family and friends, I'm imagining.
Most of the people are going like this.
You have to describe it, Riley. This is an audio
sorry.
format.
They've got like a finger up to their lips, or they're like resting a head on their hand.
Like I said, I think it's just like very disappointed family and friends.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
let's just agree that there's a lot happening.
There's a whole lot happening in this photo. And I'm pretty sure I see the little wire-haired dog. That's making me really sad because he doesn't need to go through that.
No, he doesn't need to go through a divorce.
No. Well, I thought they brought people together, but they only tear families apart. Ooh.
That's really, the dark underside of Beanie Babies. Let's a little refresher from Detective Timothy, who may or may not be a stuffed animal. Once again, Beanie Babies are so innocent and childlike, and heroin is so evil. It's a perfect dichotomy.
Was he also the dare officer that said knocking dare would be like kicking your mother saying apple pie doesn't taste good? He has the same energy.
Would like to think that they're related.
Okay.
Or in love.
They're a couple. Maybe they found each other.
Aww. It'd be really funny if they're both, I could see like a detective being like, I could see that homophobia is just what I'm saying. What if we got sued for slander and they're like, we're not gay together. I will die on this hill. They're in love.
I'd rather marry a Beanie Baby.
I'd rather marry a Beanie Baby.
Oh, good job, Sid. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Totally unrelated, real quick, because I know you're tired. Did you see that they are remaking Mean Girls? And what are your initial thoughts on that?
Whoa. I did not see that. I only saw the Mean Girls commercial for a box store. That was actually pretty funny, and it made me mad because I don't like that store, but it was really well done.
They're really good.
Wow, they're remaking. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm going to have to do some research and think about it and come back to you next week.
Yeah, we can discuss next week. I will say that Tina Fey is still in it and involved, which does give me hope.
That does make me feel better. Yeah.
But a very big part of me, though, is still like, I don't know if I want that.
Well, it's just like, do we need that?
No, I don't think we need it for sure.
I feel like remakes make sense when the technology is a lot better, or when things no longer hold up, or like cultural references, or things are like, it's like, oh, this was a really great film except for all the racism. Let's remake it and take it. But I'm like, Mean Girls still holds. Like, I don't know what you could do now that, I guess you could like incorporate more cyberbullying, but.
Yeah, it does look like they have some like viral moments, at least from what I saw in the trailer. The only other thing I could see, like basically the one thing, because it truly is like a perfect movie. And that's the hill I'm going to die on this week, is Mean Girls is a perfect movie.
Absolutely. I'll be dead with you on that hill.
Perhaps more diversity. I feel like they could have probably had more like characters of color in the cast.
Oh yeah, definitely. In the main cast, they could have.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that would be the one thing. But again, it wasn't, like you said, it's not like it was super racist or anything. So it's like, ooh, why don't we redo that and give people something else to watch? Like it's a perfect film.
I'm curious. I'll have to go watch the trailer.
Go watch the trailer. It just came out. The trailer just came out like 2 days ago. I sent it to you. Okay, no, now I'm pissed. I sent it to you and Mom on Instagram when it came out. Neither of you responded to me.
I've been getting so many. Okay, because there's like a group message with just you and Mom, and then there's you, Mom, me, and Beth, and then we have them replicated on Instagram. And then I have friends who message me on Instagram and also TikTok and texting, and I love people are thinking of me, because I need constant reassurance that I'm loved. But it's gotten really overwhelming lately, so I've just stopped answering anything for a little bit, and I'll get back.
So what you're telling me is that you're really sorry, but you can't help it that you're so popular?
Yes, I love how that sounds.
Yes. Nailed it. Mean Girls reference.
I'm sorry that everybody just has a big lesbian crush on me.
Oh, that's another good one.
We might need to watch that again soon.
Yes.
Maybe you should cover it next week.
Actually, now that we've been talking about it, I'm like, maybe I should, because it's on our mind now. And if we're going to discuss it next week anyway.
Yeah, we should do it. And then we can both watch it. And then you can tell me about it. And I can just sit and be entertained.
Okay.
All
right. Well, we're going to watch Mean Girls this week and talk about it next week. How about that? So get in the podcast, losers. Nope, cut it.
I would like to leave now, please. have reached Sid
and Riley.
We can't come to the phone right now,
So leave a message after the beep. Ruining Our Childhood was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Psych. But it is produced by us, Riley and Cassidy.
With music by Joseph Tuna Medish.
You can follow us on Instagram at Ruining Our Childhood Pod.
Or send us an email at ruiningourchildhoodpod@gmail.com.
Support the show through our Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/Ruining Our Childhood Podcast.
Later!